Namo Buddhaya, Namo Amitabha. Hello everyone, long time no see, and Happy New Year to all. May this new year bring you lots of peace, happiness, and bliss. And most importantly, I hope you keep calm and youngful. So, a bit of update about what I've been doing for the past few months. It's been quite a long time since I uploaded a video. So in October, we went to China for our China pilgrimage. We went to Mount Wutai, Bodhisattva Manjushri's Bodhimanda. We went to the Datong Grottos, Longmen Grottos, and Shaolin Temple. It was an extremely incredible and unforgettable, amazing and inspiring trip. So this year, I'm also hoping to bring another group to China and maybe to Nepal as well. So I don't know when the time is right. Most likely to be the later half of the year. And after that, I went to Europe. Our Master Renshan, was in Spain, and he was giving lectures in different places in Spain. So I was also following around, and most of the time we stay at our main center in Barcelona. So for those who don't know, we also have a main center in Barcelona, Haihuishan in Barcelona, and also other places in Spain and maybe Europe in the future. So in the future, we hope to have Pure Land centers all over the world. This is a vision by our Grandmaster, Master Renshan, and we hope Amitabha Buddha will really assist us and make this come true. So now I'm finally back in Australia and settled down in Melbourne, and I can continue to start making videos to discuss about the Dharma with all of you, which is really my favorite thing to do on earth. No joke. So I like to continue to discuss about the life of the Buddha. So we talk about the 8 phases of manifestations of Shakyamuni Buddha in our world, and we discuss about how he first descended from the two-seater heaven, he entered into the mother's womb, his birth, and now today we'll discuss about his great renunciation. So this is one of the most important part of his manifestation on earth. So last time we discussed about his miraculous birth and how when he was born, there was a sage called Asita that came to predict this baby will definitely realize Buddhahood based on his 32 great signs and the 80 minor signs, which we discussed in the previous video before. So 7 days after Shakyamuni Buddha was born, his mother, Queen Maya, passed away. We may wonder why Queen Maya passed away so early. So Queen Maya actually ascended to the Trastrinsa heaven, the second level of heaven in the desire realm. So why she passed so early? It was because her mission on earth has already accomplished. Her mission was to give birth to the Buddha, and after she finished the mission, there was no need for her to keep suffering in the human realm, because when the Buddha grew up, he will renounce and become a monk, and this will definitely bring suffering to the mother. So it was not necessary for Queen Maya to keep staying in the human realm. So actually it's said it's followed by the pattern for all the future Buddhas. When the future Buddha was born, the mother will all pass away within 7 days. Because again, mission accomplished, no need to stay here to keep suffering longer. So in the Avatamsaka Sutra, it was also revealed to us that Queen Maya is actually also a great bodhisattva who vowed to become the mother for all the future Buddhas. So there are 1,000 Buddhas that will be born in the auspicious Kappa, which we discussed before, and Queen Maya will all be their mothers. Queen Maya had also become the mother for countless past Buddhas before. So it's her vow to give birth to the Buddha. Bodhisattvas, they have different vows and they carried out different missions. So Queen Maya is actually a great bodhisattva who vowed to always be the mother to all the Buddhas. So really infinite merit to Queen Maya to give birth to Shakyamuni Buddha in our world. So after Queen Maya passed away, Prince Siddhartha was raised by the mother's younger sister, Mahapajapati Gautami. And King Shuddhadana was very much worried that Asita's prediction will become true. So what he did was to let the prince to indulge in all kinds of the 5 desires in the world, so that hope one day he would not renounce and take the monastic lives. So Prince Siddhartha really grew up in great luxury and comfort, and King Shuddhadana did everything that he could to stop the prince from seeing, suffering, and experience pain, to the extent that he even built 3 palaces for him. One to reside in the summer, when the summer is very hot, but when he resided in the palace, he will not feel hot, he will feel very cool. And one to reside in the winter, when the winter is very cold, but when he stayed in the palace, he wouldn't feel the cool. And one for the raining season. So basically, Prince Siddhartha, when he grew up, he experienced all kinds of luxury and comfort, and he did not really see any of the sufferings in the world. The prince also received the best kind of education from the best teacher in the country, and he was skillful in many things. He learned things very fast, and he was the top of the class. And King Shuddhadana also wanted him to get married, so maybe with marriage he would not want to renounce in the future. So later Prince Siddhartha married a very beautiful Yasodhara. So there is also a very interesting story about Prince Siddhartha and Yasodhara. Do you know why he married Yasodhara? Why not another woman? Why Yasodhara? Apart from Yasodhara was of course very beautiful, the most beautiful and smart. But actually this is not the first time they've been husband and wife. Prince Siddhartha and Yasodhara have been husband and wife for many lifetimes. So this was recorded in the Buddha Sutra. There is the story about how when Yasodhara first met Prince Siddhartha in a previous lifetime, when Prince Siddhartha was a young Brahmin called Sumedha. And at that time there was a Buddha called Dipankara Buddha. So it was a past Buddha during that time. So Dipankara Buddha was about to come into town, and this young Brahmin heard about that and wanted to buy flowers to make offerings to the Buddha at that time. But all the flowers had been purchased by the king to make his own offerings to the Buddha. So the young Brahmin couldn't buy any flowers. And all of a sudden, he saw this young girl who carried 7 lotus flowers. So he approached her and asked if he could buy the flowers from her. And this young girl immediately fell in love with the young Brahmin and said, "Well, I could offer you 5 lotus flowers, but if you can promise to marry me for all the future lifetimes, to be husband and wife for all the future lifetimes." So the young Brahmin thought for a moment and said, "I can promise you, but only if you can also promise me that you can let go of me each lifetime when we are husband and wife, because I am someone who is practicing the Bodhisattva path. I generate a bodhicitta to realize the perfect enlightenment, which means that I can let go of you for each lifetime. And only if you can also let go of me, then I can promise you that." And the girl agreed. So that's why they had been husband and wife for many lifetimes, and also including this lifetime when he's destined to become Shakyamuni Buddha. So actually during the time of Dipankara Buddha, Dipankara also made a prediction to the young Brahmin, the previous life of Shakyamuni Buddha, and said he will definitely realize Buddhahood and his name will be called Shakyamuni. So this has all been sort of written in the star. Okay, so just a bit of background stories. That's why Prince Siddhartha chose Yasodhara to be his wife. And after they got married, she also gave birth to their son called Rahula. So this is quite a touching love story, right? True love. Love without attachment is true love. And maybe let's just pause a moment and think about why the Buddha had to get married and then renounce after to become a monk and to realize Buddhahood. Why couldn't the Buddha just stay in the palace to be Prince Siddhartha or King Siddhartha and realize Buddhahood? He could also perform like that, but why he didn't do it? So apart from his promise to Yasodhara that they will be husband and wife for all the future lifetimes, but also because when the Buddhas, the Bodhisattvas, manifest in the world, they will perform like us. They will be like us. If you indulge in desire, they indulge in desire. They could indulge even more than you. Prince Siddhartha was born in the best family, the royal family, and no one can be richer than him. And if you get married, they get married. Better marriage than you. If you give birth, they give birth. Better children than you, better family than you. So they perform like us and then later they renounce. So there is this huge contrast before and after. And people wonder, oh, what happened? Why you want to give up your good life and to renounce and to be a monk? And this is a chance where they can expound the Dharma to them about impermanence, how attachment leads to suffering, etc. So that's why when the Buddha came down to perform, he had to go through all this process. First to be the prince, to get married, to give birth, to have a beautiful family. And then the Buddha tell you, actually, hang on a moment, everything is impermanent. This will still lead to suffering. This is not the end. There is something that's much greater or worthy to pursue than just this. So what really triggered the prince's renunciation was the four incidents, the four famous incidents that many people know of. That is one day when he went out from the palace and he went out from the east gate and he saw an old person. And all of a sudden he was very shocked because he had never seen an old person before. Because his father locked away all the suffering people, the old, the sick, the dead. So he was very shocked to see this old person. And he asked his charioteer, what happened to this person? And the charioteer said, this is an old person. He is near the end of his life. So his body grew old. And the prince all of a sudden thought, so is this a special case or this applied to everyone? And the charioteer said, it actually applied to everyone. We all have to grow old one day. Our skin will all have to get wrinkled. Our body will all be like really old and suffering. And this really dawned on the prince. The prince was very sad upon seeing this and thought, so one day he will also get old too. And not only him, like all the people in the world will have to experience old age. And this really make him realize the impermanence of this physical body. And another day he went out from the palace, from the south gate, and he saw a sick person. He asked the charioteer, what happened to this person? And the charioteer said, this is a sick person. His body is suffering from illness, so he's not feeling well. So that's why he's sick. And Prince Siddhartha was again very shocked to see and ask, is this a special case or it applied to everybody? And the charioteer said, this applied to everyone. Everyone had to experience sickness. And all of a sudden, Prince Siddhartha was very sad to hear this. So one day he also have to experience sickness. Not only him, like all the people he loved, all the people in the world have to go through sickness. And another day, the prince went out from the west gate and saw a dead person, and many people crying around this person. And he asked the charioteer, what happened to this person? And the charioteer said, this is a dead person. He has died. He passed away. And this all of a sudden really shocked Prince Siddhartha. And he asked, is this a special case or it will happen to all the people? So the charioteer said, all the people have to face death eventually. And this again really shocked the prince, and to think that he has to die one day. His loved ones, all the people in the world, will one day have to face death. He really contemplated about the impermanence of this physical body, which is subject to old age, sickness, and death. So these events really trigger him to sort of experience the suffering in the human realm. We may think he really lack of common sense. We see old people, sick people, and even dead people all the time, every day. Maybe from the news, if not in your real life. But Prince Siddhartha, we had to know that he was very much protected when he grew up. His father, King Shuddhadana, tried to keep him away from seeing any suffering and to experience any pain. That was why when he first saw an old person, a sick person, and dead person, he was really, really shocked. And another day, the prince went out from the north gate and saw a monk. His expression was very calm and composed, unlike the other. And he asked, "Oh, who is this man?" And the charioteer said, "He is a renunciant. He's a monk. He renounced from the secular life to pursue liberation, to cultivate selfless giving, etc." So he asked the renunciant, "What does it mean to renounce?" And the renunciant replied, "Because I see that everything in this world is impermanent. I have this observation, so that's why I decided to renounce from the secular life, the conventional life, and to pursue the ultimate truth, to pursue liberation from the suffering of birth and death." So this really dawned on Prince Siddhartha, and he thought, this is what's worth pursuing. This will definitely be the path that he would take. So we can see that this monk really inspired Prince Siddhartha to later renounce his real life. So interestingly, every time the prince went out of the palace, King Shuddhadana would order people to clean away everything on the street, any unpleasant sight, including any old person, sick person, and dead person. But each time when the prince went out, he would still see an old person, a sick person, a dead person, and later a monk. So why is that? From the Sutra, it told us that this was actually manifested by a heavenly being. So Prince Siddhartha had countless Dharma protectors in the world, including the heavenly beings. So they are all trying to remind, in a way, this is your time to renounce. Your performance in the palace is enough now. So now it's time for you to renounce and really carry out your mission here, that is to realize Buddhahood. So it's a very interesting. If you have the time, you can read the sutra about the Buddha's life. And it offered many background stories like this. So here I also like to discuss the importance of renunciation. Why renunciation is so important for the Buddha. Why couldn't the Buddha just stay in the palace and being a prince and realize Buddhahood at the same time? So he could actually also perform like that. He could actually also do that. But why he didn't do that? He had to show us first to renounce and to realize Buddhahood. This is because we talk about in the Four Noble Truths, the second noble truth, attachment or craving is the root of suffering. So if he were to stay in the palace to keep becoming a prince and then to realize Buddhahood, people doesn't know whether he really let go of the attachment or desire or not. So it's important that if you renounce, then it shows that you can really let go of attachment, let go of craving. So this is not just mere talking. Lots of people say, I'm not attached. And you see them indulging in all kinds of desires. So you don't know whether they're really not attached or they're just saying they're not attached, but in fact they're very attached. So it's difficult to tell. If the Buddha were to stay in the palace to keep being a prince and to realize Buddhahood, then later many people think, they could also be like the Buddha. they can indulge in all kinds of desires and later they realize Buddhahood. But most people, they can't. When they are being in the world, they're very much attached to worldly pleasures. So the Buddha first show you to renounce, to become a monk. In that way, you can really let go of the desire. At least you let go of a lot of the worldly desire by taking the monastic life. So that's why the Buddha had to show you this way. First, renounce to be a monk, and then to realize Buddhahood. I'm not saying that you can't realize Buddhahood when you are maybe in a palace or being at home. You can still, but it's just more difficult, more challenges, because the environment will let you be attached to more. But given that we are in the Dharma ending age, it's even more difficult for us not to be attached. So that's why Amitabha Buddha offered us the easy path to Nianfo and to attain rebirth in Amitabha Buddha's Pure Land. You don't have to let go of all the worldly desire. Most people, they can't do that. And Shakyamuni Buddha knows, Amitabha Buddha knows, it's difficult for us to let go of everything. Even for monks in these days, can they say they are not attached to anything? Extremely difficult during the Dharma ending age. So the easy path is to Nianfo and to attain rebirth in Amitabha Buddha's Pure Land. And there it's much easier to realize Buddhahood. So if the Buddha renounced, he's showing you that he's really not attached and nothing to be attached. So people will not have doubts. So the Buddha also speaks of the great merit of being a monk. There's a sutra called 佛说出家功德经. The Buddha speaks of the merit of being a monk. So really infinite merit to renounce and to become a monk. Okay, so that day after he saw this monk, he went back to the palace and told his father, King Shuddhadana, that he wanted to renounce, he wanted to become a monk. And King Shuddhadana, of course, there's no way for him to agree to that. So one evening, he decided to run away from the palace. So on that evening when he ran away, there were actually many guards that guard the palace, because King Shuddhadana was also worried that his son would try to run away and to renounce. Because Prince Siddhartha had many Dharma protectors, heavenly beings. So the heavenly beings use their power to make the gate open automatically and to make all those guards fall asleep. So that's why he could run away from the palace so smoothly. So he told his charioteer, Channa, to bring his favorite white horse, Kantaka. So he rode on his favorite white horse, Kantaka, and together with Channa, they ran away from the palace. So in the human realm, we may just see the Buddha, Channa, and his white horse that left the palace. But actually, there were countless heavenly beings who accompanied the Buddha, including the 4 heavenly kings, Lord Shakya, the 8 legends of devas and dragons, and other heavenly beings. So the Buddha's great renunciation was also a great event for the heavenly realm. So when they went to a forest, Prince Siddhartha told Channa that he had to renounce and he had to become a monk to liberate from all sufferings in life, to pursue for the ultimate truth. So Channa didn't really understand the Buddha's decision, why he wanted to renounce his royal life and to become a monk. And he said to the Buddha, usually people renounce under the 4 conditions. Maybe when they grow old, or they're very sick, or they feel very lonely, or they're very poor. But none of these 4 applied to Prince Siddhartha, so why he wanted to renounce? And Prince Siddhartha told him that, everything is impermanent. It doesn't mean that if you are young, impermanence won't happen to you. Every day we also see from the news, actually, many young people, they could also die. So Prince Siddhartha really have this sharp awareness of impermanence, that misfortune, death can happen in any moment. What's between living and dying. It's in a moment of breath. I found the Sutra of 42 chapters. The Buddha also talk about that. So just because we are young and well now doesn't mean that we will still be very well in the next moment or tomorrow. Really, impermanence can strike us in the way that we maybe least expect it at any moment, at any time. This past few days, we saw the fire in Los Angeles that destroyed so many houses, took away people's life. And also we saw the wars that's happening in the world, and also even flight accidents that happened throughout the new year. So really, impermanence can happen at any moment. So Prince Siddhartha really had a sharp awareness of impermanence. So that's why he knew that even if he's young and very well now, he should still be very aware that suffering, old age, sickness, and death, all kinds of suffering can happen at any moment. So it's important for him to really to cultivate and to pursue for the truth, and to try to solve all these problems, to know how to actually transcend birth and death, to realize Buddhahood. This is actually the ultimate goal. It's his mission to be here on earth, to do this task, and to show people how to liberate from all sufferings in life. But for Buddha's renunciation, we will still be doomed in all the sufferings in samsara. So we really have to be so grateful for the Buddha to decide to renounce, to become a monk, and to realize enlightenment. So the Buddha cut off his hair, and he also wanted to change his clothes. He took off all his jewelries, and all of a sudden he saw this hunter wearing a monk's clothes, and he asked if I could exchange the clothes with him. He asked this hunter, "Why are you wearing a monk's clothes?" And the hunter said, "So the animals want to approach me when I am wearing a monk's clothes, and I could better hunt them." So the Buddha said, "Okay, let me exchange my clothes with you. I give you my best clothes, and you give me this monk clothes." So it is said from the Sutra, this hunter was also manifested by a heavenly being. So the Buddha had the monk's clothes, he cut off all his hair, took off all his jewelries, he was all set to be aesthetic. So he asked Channa to bring away all his belongings, to go back to the palace and to inform his father, Shuddhadana, and to inform his wife, Yasodhara, about his decision. And he promised to come back once he found out the truth. So we really need to understand that Buddha's renunciation is not a selfish decision. Some people, if they don't understand the Buddha's teaching, they don't understand Buddhism, when they heard this story, they may think, oh, the Buddha was so selfish. He abandoned his wife, his beautiful wife. He left his young baby. How could he be so cruel to do that? But we really need to understand why the Buddha did that, why the Buddha leave his family and renounce. It's because he wanted to solve the suffering for all sentient beings. He wanted to know how to transcend the suffering of birth and death, to liberate from all sufferings in life for himself, but most importantly also for all sentient beings. But for the Buddha's selfless renunciation and teachings, the Dharma to all of us, we will still be so doomed in this repeated birth and death and the endless suffering in the samsara. So we really have to be grateful for the Buddha's great renunciation, to sacrifice his maybe emotional love for the family, for the great love for all sentient beings, the great compassionate love, the love of the Buddha to all sentient beings. It's really what we call the true love, the selfless, the highest compassionate love for all sentient beings. Okay, so today we discussed Buddha's great renunciation, and in the next video we're gonna discuss how he subdued Lord Mara, and to realize the perfect enlightenment. Namo Buddhaya, Namo Amitabhaya.